All right, ladies and gentlemen, Alan Cunningham back here again, the event organizer for Northwest Nightmares. This is the fourth episode in the Northwest Nightmares Film Fest podcast, keeping you up to date on everything spooky going on up here in northwestern Vermont. I want to take a quick second and thank the sponsors so far for Northwest Nightmares. That is the Vermont Surrogacy Network and Twigs Restaurant in St. Albans, Vermont. If your company or business would like to be a sponsor for Northwest Nightmares, there's still time to get your name and logo on the posters. You can reach us at Northwest Access Television at 802-782-8676. All right, folks, my guest this week is none other than Chris Hoyt. If you know that name, that's because he is the originator and the creator of Northwest Nightmares. He held the position I have previously, and in that position, he created the Film Fest and kept it going. So, Chris, thank you for being here.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Well, thank you so much for coming. So, how did you come up with the idea for Northwest Nightmares?
Well, as you know, we're always trying to get people into the studio and let them experience everything we have to offer. So you have all this amazing equipment, you have this opportunity where they can have their voices heard and be creative, and we were trying to find a way to draw in new people, because we get the people that want to have their little talk shows or political campaigns and stuff like that, but we were looking for a more artistic outlet for people. And I have always loved scary movies, and I feel like they're some of the most fun things that you can make. So I said, why don't we set up something where it doesn't just give them the opportunity, but it also makes it like a fun competition or like community event to kind of publicize everything we have to offer, but also give somebody in the public that thrill of making a film and just having a good time.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Everything that I've heard from, I've had a couple other people on here, Mason Mashter and Zach Scheffler, and yeah, they've had nothing but amazing things to say about this, and yeah, it's just been, just do it. Just get out there and make it. You don't realize how much fun it is until you actually go and do it. And I think that's a fantastic sentiment. So, what year did you create Northwest Nightmares?
Oh, I don't even...
Was that 2013?
Yes, I think. It's been so long. Like I don't know the exact year, but yeah, 2013 sounds about right. Yeah, I think it is because of the whole like 13 aspect. I think it was like, oh, it's amazing that we're starting it this year, because it kind of fits the theme.
Did you have any idea that it was just going to become this yearly thing and become something that's a big part of Franklin County now?
I hoped it would. To tell you the truth, like while we were in the middle of doing it, like there were so many things that came up where we were like, I don't even know if we can pull this off to do it once. Yeah. And it wasn't until the night of the premieres at the Weldon, and we had like the dance performance outside in the street, and like everybody showed up in costumes, and then as soon as the film started in the crowd, like the laughs and the jumps and just everything, like the atmosphere, I knew we had like found, like we had hit a nerve that needed to be explored. So that's when I knew that we had been successful at what we were trying to do, and that I thought it could have legs, but for it to last this long, it totally goes beyond my expectations, and I couldn't be happier.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm over the moon excited to be just even a part of it, to keep this going, because I grew up a horror movie fan as well, and I remember when I started working for the television station here, I think it was in 2017, and Zach at the time was the event organizer, and he was talking to me about it, and it just seemed like the greatest thing in the world. And then I think the year after that, or the following year, I was a judge. And that was a great experience. It's so much fun to be on the other side, to see all these movies coming in, and you've got to watch them with a real objective eye. And then there's that experience, and then the experience of making it like a real, Hollywood movie premiere, having the red carpet. And there's really there's no substitute for seeing any of your own work that you've made or yourself on a movie screen.
Yeah.
It doesn't come close. TV screens can get as big as they want. It's never going to be the same.
No, because it's not the size of the screen, it's the atmosphere. It's you've got, I mean, we pack the Weldon every year. Usually we've even added multiple nights because the demand for tickets is through the roof. And it's all those people there excited to experience something together. Movie theaters, and I think over the last year, people with movie theaters being shut down, people are starting to really appreciate what that experience is.
Yeah.
I remember I went to a theater, must have been five or 6 years ago, and watched a re-release of A Nightmare on Elm Street, and I'd never been able to see that live.
Yep, at a big screen.
Theater. Yeah. So, and I remember the atmosphere in there. Everybody was so excited, and people would yell the lines out with the characters, or everybody was like, "Oh, here it comes!" Because everybody's seen the movie 100 times, but it was like watching it with a group of friends that you'd never met before, and it's just that experience is just something really special.
Yeah, so. It's nice to be kind of in a room with a lot of like-minded folk, and that's one of my favorite horror movies of all time. Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh yeah,
Freddy's up on my list. Speaking of Freddy, so what's your what were your go-to horror movies when you were younger? What kind of got you into scary movies?
I'm a huge fan of the slasher movie. That whole, here's a group of teenagers, here's this dark entity, whether it's an angry mother who's being vengeful because of the loss of her son, or the escaped mental patient, or whatever. And just that steady progression of, oh no, don't go over there, don't explore that noise. All of those, tropes that have just become ingrained in our society. It's just a fun thing. You know what's going to happen, you just don't know how it's going to happen, and it's that surprise. But it's also not like a scary movie isn't always about being scared. We kind of touched on it a little bit. Very few people watch horror movies all by themselves, and if they do, then they call their friends and they tell them all about it anyways.
Yep.
So it's this communal thing of having that excitement together and enjoying the moment and jumping and joking around and just being I'd never do that. They're so stupid, and just laughing about it. It's just a fun experience. So I really love the slasher movies. Probably my favorite is obviously Halloween. It's a real film. It's the angles, the cinematography, the lighting, everything's perfect in that movie, and it's got this template that everybody else just copied afterwards. So that'd probably be my ultimate. But then I also have a soft spot for just the cheesy imitation of imitation that's just, it's so bad it's good.
Yeah, kind of the horror genre is famous for having a big, deep B-movie catalog.
Yeah.
So, and any of the, Sleepaway Camp.
Yep.
I remember there was a comedy horror called Saturday the 14th.
Yep.
And so it's just, I can remember so many horror movies simply by the cover, the movie poster cover.
Oh, yeah.
Just from going to the video store on the weekends.
Well, that's growing up, that's how we picked out what we wanted. We didn't have the IMDb's and the all these trailers everywhere. You would not even know about a movie until you went to the video store.
And the guy at the video store told you all about it. Yeah.
Or you just go to the horror section and just be like, wow, that cover looks awesome, I'm getting that one. And then it could be amazing, or it could just be horrible.
Yeah. and sometimes you find yourself in a rabbit hole and okay, I love this, now I gotta watch the other 5 Hellraisers.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. It's such a unique genre that it's so varied in so many ways that even if you don't like scary things, you're still going to find something you like. There will still be something that will pique your interest and keep your interest enough, but it also tries to scare you.
Yeah, and you can. It also varies in depth. So intellectually, it can be super deep and philosophical and
Something
psychological.
like Jacob's Ladder or something.
Yep. And then you get these ones that are just like, oh, he's got a knife. Like, he's coming after him. Like,
and something like Evil Dead, where it's, let's see how much blood we can get on the screen. You know? And that's one of my favorites as well.
Oh, yeah, and the characters in like Evil Dead, like Ash is like one of my all-time favorites. It's just like that cartoonish like persona. It's just
that's such a unique case, the Evil Dead movies, because Bruce Campbell is so uproariously funny in those, but they're still some of the scariest movies I've ever seen. Like they hit the scary horror like right on the head of, we're gonna be slapstick, comedic, but then we're gonna show a demon like flying through the woods.
Yeah, and the imagery and the special effects and the makeup and everything is absolutely terrifying, and the concepts also, like when the trees come alive and like start to attack people, like it's
and the same thing with that movie and with Halloween. Those were very, very low budget movies. Those were way before either one of them, John Carpenter and Sam Raimi, got involved with a movie studio. And I think that's because so many good horror movies come from that place. Having this film festival, these don't feel like cheap knockoff movies. It feels like a real horror movie because it's made in a lot of the same ways as these older movies have been made.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, to make a great horror movie, like, you don't have to have a lot of money. You don't even have to have good special effects. Like, you don't have to have any special effects. Like, if you look at like Psycho, like, there's no gore in that. Like, it's all just well-timed cuts and some chocolate syrup in the bathtub, and that's it. Like that, I could do that right now with what I have in my kitchen cabinets. So it's more about how can you be creative and get the idea across, because a lot of the scariest films don't show the scariest parts. So like, because I can't remember who it was, but there was a director that said once that nothing that they could put on film was as terrifying as what the audience could imagine. It might have been Hitchcock, or
I think so. Yeah, that sounds really familiar.
But like, that's one of the things that I always look for in a movie, where I'm like, oh, like, it would have been cool to see that, but I'm pretty sure I just imagine something way more terrifying than they could show.
And that's usually the intention of the director anyway, is I'm going to purposefully leave this out, so I'm going to let their own imagination fill this in.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Do you have any advice? Somebody who is interested in doing the festival but apprehensive. Is there anything they should know going into this? Anything you can say to kind of motivate the people that are on the fence?
I would tell them that it will be one of the most fun experiences that they do, especially if you can get a group of friends to do it with you, or your family members, or if you've got kids, have your kids make a movie with you, right? I can tell you that some of the ones that were that you would think would be the worst over the years have been some of the best. Like the very first year we had one, it was Forest of the Scorpion People. And it was just these two guys, and it was like Blair Witch style, and they're just talking into this camera. And I remember I was a judge that year, and I watched it, and I was like, this is awful. Like, I cannot believe we're going to show this at the theater, and then I don't know what people are going to think. And then we watched it all together in that theater, and it was hilarious. I was like, oh my God, like, this thing's amazing. Like, they knew exactly what they were doing. Like, it makes sense now. But it's just, so don't go in with expectations. Just have fun with it and be creative and enjoy the process. And if you do that, then it'll show in the product at the end, and it'll be fantastic. Just do it, like we said before. It would be the greatest motto to have in doing this, because everything that goes on that screen is going to be made kind of with love and enthusiasm, and that'll show. It's not like these $1,000 budget movies where the goal is a profit. So you're just doing this to be creative and have fun and have an experience, and that's going to make it good.
All right. All right. Well, folks, I think that's going to do it for this episode of the Northwest Nightmares Film Fest podcast. I want to thank my guest, Chris, for stopping by. Chris, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And also thanks to Zach and to you and Renee and David and all the people that have kept this thing alive. It means more to me than any of you would know.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you for coming up with it. This is it definitely seems like it was a spark of lightning type of idea so many years ago, and that it's still going, and it's just an awesome community event. Thank you once again, Chris. All right, my name's Alan Cunningham. Thank you, folks. I'll be back next week with another podcast. Until then, stay spooky.